Hello, welcome to the slightly belated conclusion to Roguelike Week here on the Indie Ocean. This is Lair of the Evildoer by Going Loud Studios, who more recently released DLC Quest and ported both games to the PC. You'll probably notice from the title screen that it's quite a humorous game. I'll talk more about it as we get underway. So here we are, we've been created by Dr. Odious, the Evildoer. Let's just stick to our default username, Scion of T. Yeah, I agree with you, Dr. Odious, it's not a great name. But he dislikes it to the point of renaming us Daisy. I think those are randomly picked from a selection of girly names. I'm not going to bother with the tutorial, because there's really no need. It is funny, some of the funniest dialogue is in the tutorial, but I don't want to waste your time. So basically we're not very happy with Dr. Odious. He wanted us dead because we're a failed experiment, and we have to escape from his enormous lab complex. So, you'll notice distinct elements of a twin-stick shooter here. You move around with the left stick, aim with the right stick, and fire with the right trigger. You also melee attack with the right bumper, and you can switch to a sidearm that has unlimited ammo by pressing Y. You'll notice here there are some weapons lying around with different stats. You can hold the left trigger, I think, to compare the stats to the weapons you've already got. So we had a little switch there. I don't like shotguns, but that's what we've got at the moment. But the reason I included this in Roguelike Week is it has definite elements of a roguelike to it. Weapons drop pretty frequently, and the maps, the floors of the Evildoer's lair are all randomly generated, and it's about finding your way down to the next floor. But like traditional roguelikes, you really need to explore in order to strengthen your character as much as possible before you move on. So we're just trawling around this first floor at the moment. And it plays pretty well. It's not as roguelike as the others I've mentioned this week. We covered quite a traditional one last time with Silent Call 2, and before that a slightly diluted, more accessible take on the traditional formula with Cursed Loot. But this one is definitely a hybrid of twin-stick shooter and roguelike. See, this bit is quite roguelike. Masses and masses of enemies piling at us. And getting a level up where we can enhance our stats. Dexterity gives us weapon damage, strength gives us melee damage, and increases our ammo capacity. Vitality is health and regenerating health, and defense reduces how much damage you take. And how much you recoil when you're struck, I believe. So yeah, we battle our way through masses of enemies. The variety of enemies in this game isn't great. We do get more as it moves on through the game, but it also pulls that old game trick of giving you basically palette swapped enemies. That is, the same character models and same powers and performance and attacks and everything, just looking slightly different. But in this they don't even look different, they just have different names. I mean, it works fine, but I think if you were playing this a lot, you'd get fed up of the same enemies, and it could do with a bit more variety. Having said that, you will see at some point that we have sort of super enemies. I can't remember what the official title for them is now, but enemies that have a coloured glow around them, which signifies that they have extra powers, and the colour of the glow indicates what sort of power it is. Sometimes they're faster, or they have more health, or they explode, or my favourite, impervious to projectiles. I hate that one. But yeah, it's there's one. Had a yellow glow, didn't have time to see what power it indicated. But the floors in true roguelike fashion are randomly generated, and you only discover the layout as you explore. But you'll notice it's a bit more action-packed than true roguelikes. And one of the things it has going for it is the sense of humour. That's a big factor in this. You find computers scattered around. Another level up here, just whack some points into stats there. You find computers lying around that have amusing diary entries from Dr. Odious. and sort of amusing enemy names and that kind of thing. The humour maybe isn't as prominent as it could be, and it's certainly not big enemies, and it's certainly not as prominent as in DLC Quest, which was Going Loud's next game after this one. But it is worth a play. It's only 80 Microsoft points, and if you like the idea of the randomly generated floors and sort of slogging through to get to the last floor and all that, from roguelikes in the previous videos, but you're really not sure about all the RPG overtones and potions and scrolls and things that you have to keep track of, even in Cursed Loot, this might be a good place to start. It's because it takes parts of an action-y twin-stick shooter and sort of grafts them onto a vaguely roguelike chassis. It's a good introduction, a good sort of pop introduction to roguelikes for people who don't want to just plunge in at the deep end. And believe me, I can completely understand that. So, Lair of the Evildoer. Recommended. For a while, it was one of my favourite Xbox Live indie games. If you've ever wished that twin-stick shooters had a bit more depth, or that roguelikes had a bit less depth, this could be the game for you. Give it a go. Thanks for listening, and I will see you the next time with Cube-themed week, starting on Tuesday and followed as usual by videos on Thursday and Saturday. See you then.